Thanks for staying with us on Sunrise. Now, local brands play a huge role in uplifting our economy and creating employment. Are we as South Africans doing enough, though, to support local brands? And what does that say about this nation of ours? Many still struggling to achieve their best potential, unlike their international rivals. Today, we are asking you, our Sunrise viewers, if you as consumers are doing justice to promote our own products. To talk more about this, we are joined in studio by the Chief Executive Officer of Proudly South Africa, Herbert Mhkize. And on the line from Limpopo, we are joined by the founder of hood brand Lokshin Culture, Wazi Nzimande. You at home, just a reminder, give us a call, 011 759 6401 or 6402, and share your thoughts on us. Tell us why you support local. Remember, local is lekker, or please justify why you keep buying international brands. Herbert, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Rory, and thank you very much to your viewers.
As consumers and as South African citizens, do we really support local brands, and are we maybe a bit too brand conscious?
I think we are extremely brand conscious, and that's a difficulty. If you use the word enough, I don't think we're doing enough at all. But South Africans out there are supporting local brands, and all what we want to do is to push that a bit further so that we understand that by buying locally produced goods and services, we are actually creating jobs in this economy. And jobs in this country, it's absolutely critical.
Yeah,
that
if you
we
look
need
at the
to
number of
practice.
unemployed people.
It's frightening. It's absolutely frightening. So like J.F. Kennedy said, that don't look at what your country can do for you, but see what you can do for your country. We're calling on all South Africans to pull together, like we're waking up today on Freedom Day. What a wonderful day, and what a good timing to be calling on the 49 million South Africans to go out there and deliberately buy local.
Why do you think the perception that international brands are of a higher standard? I mean, it's not necessarily always the case.
Well, that's not the case at all. I think, especially if you look at the trends today, today is not so much about the brand. It's more about where it is made. I mean, you take a BMW 3 Series, which is made up in Pretoria. We export the 3 Series to international markets. And I haven't had anybody complaining about the quality of the 3 Series that we export from here. Mercedes-Benz C-Class.
Might be an international brand, but it's manufactured on South African soil by South Africans.
Absolutely. So I think the question of quality, it's an issue, it's an argument that is becoming tired. I think the Chinese, when they first cracked into the clothing and textile industry, people used to mock at them in terms of quality. They call them Hong Kongs. But today you can't really make a difference between the quality of China and the quality of anywhere else in the world. So it's a start. So if the quality is a bit of a problem in terms of locally made goods and services, hey, it's an area we need to focus on, and perhaps it could be our niche.
Indeed. Wendy, thanks for joining us on the line this morning. You're the founder of local brand Lokshin Culture. How did you come up with the idea, and do you find that South Africans are starting to support local brands more and more?
Morning, Rory. Thanks for having me on your show.
It's a pleasure.
Firstly, we started Lokshin Culture as a means to an end. It was really myself and Chaba. Today being Freedom Day, we came to this day because of Umzabalazo, and we coined a new phrase, which was Umtabalazo, So it's really about hustling, it's really about the hustle, and literally it was about feeding ourselves and our families. That's how it started.
What are the challenges that you currently face as a brand in trying to create awareness and get people to buy more of it?
One of the things that, we constantly swim upstream. It's actually a battle to be in this industry. We get really angry when people used to laugh at us when it came to why we started the business in the first place, because we were entering a dying industry. So the uphill literally is finding the factories that can make the items that we're looking for. That's still a constant battle. There's factories that close every single day because of international competition. But yeah, that is our biggest battle.
Wendy, do stay with us there on the line. Just a reminder to you, our viewers at home, give us a ring, 011 759 6401 or 6402. Share your thoughts with us here on Sunrise on this Freedom Day, your perceptions of local products versus international products. We're chatting to Wendy and Herbert here. Herbert, what would your message to SA consumers be?
Well, our message basically is that we need to create jobs in this economy. And in order to do that, the smallest contribution, but the one that has the greatest of impact, is simply let's go out there and support goods and services that are manufactured and produced in this country. And by so doing, we will be keeping the jobs, but secondly, we'll be creating new jobs. Because by and large, if we start buying goods and services that are made in this country, we are creating local demand. If we create local demand, the manufacturers are going to up their tempo in terms of the products that they produce. If we do that, more people are going to be employed, more people with disposable income, and we're going to get this economy cooking.
It seems like a win-win situation.
Absolutely.
Sebi from Durban, thanks so much for joining us on Sunrise this morning. Do you share your thoughts with us? Hi there, Sebi, are you there?
Hello.
Hi there, go ahead with your question.
We were talking about supporting local goods.
Yes.
How can we do that? People now, with the inflation and all, they're trying to get something that's cheaper. When the things are coming from overseas and flooding the market, we have no chance. Like I am a pensioner, and the money that I am getting is not enough.
So
as much as we want to support local goods, we can't afford it.
Savvy, I think that's a valid point. Thank you for those thoughts. Herbert, I mean, what do you say to people like Savvy or other people? You've got these international brands, they've got established, they've got bigger buying power, they can flood the market and undercut the local merchandisers. How do we fight that?
I think this is where the industrial policy action plan comes in. The Minister of Trade and Industry has launched today, we've got IPAP 3, and it's an effort to try and build the local capacity of our manufacturers to compete with the best in the world. And of course, for starts, I mean, we're not going to be able overnight to emerge competitive on all dimensions.
We've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, we've got to start somewhere. And I think the Industrial Policy Action Plan, it's a good starting point. The new growth path, it's another hook for us that is aimed at trying to make South African manufacturing more competitive going forward. So it's an issue that we need to look at, and we need to look at it quite critically. And this is where really government comes in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wendy, what would your response be to Savvy, our caller from Durban, that says the established international brands are just undercutting the local brands? How can you heard Herbert's response, what would your response to that be?
Well, firstly, there's the international brands, and then there's also the counterfeiting of our own brand, which almost literally killed our business about 6-7 years ago. You know, we've been around for 12 years, but right at the beginning, you asked, do people actually support local brands? We are a testament of that. The fact that we've been around for 12 years is exactly that. But it's really up to us as the entrepreneurs and also the creatives to find cool ways of appealing to the South African market. At the end of our strategy is very simple. You sell to the pocket, and you also sell to the heart as well. So it's literally all about selling to the heart and making sure that people really believe in what we do, and more importantly, try to match the international standard as much as possible, which I think we've done extremely well.
And as Herbert was saying earlier on, we've got to start somewhere. I mean, people complain about the local brands being too expensive, but it's all about supply and demand. I mean, the more people that you've got buying the product, you can have a bit more of a regulated price. You're employing more people. You're creating employment, and that'll boost the economy. The thing that concerns me, though, I often hear people say, if items weren't so expensive, they wouldn't be forced to buy counterfeits. But now, if people could just boycott buying counterfeits, Herbert, and actually support the legal brands, surely that would benefit us all at the end of the day.
Well, when you're sitting in a plane just about to land at JFK, there's a voice that cracks on the PA system in the plane that tells you that certain goods are not allowed. Isn't that some kind of protection?
A bit of a tap to the conscience.
You can't bring a biltong to the US.
Yeah.
You never. So I think that's the kind of attitude that we need to adopt. It's an attitude that says we can, if we start by focusing and pulling all the forces together, mobilizing every force, mobilizing the legislative framework, making sure that our borders are not as what they are today. I mean, illegal goods ends into our market quite easily, so we need to tighten up on that area. And I think really the bottom line for us, and that's an area where I have jurisdiction, is to simply to call on our consumers to deliberately look for goods and services that are made in this country. There will be a premium. Understand that. But the premium, it must be understood within the context of it being an investment to the future of this country. But if we are not prepared to
children's future.
And the children's future. So if we are not prepared to pay that extra price today, we must understand that the consequences are we're going to kill this economy.
Much like investing in the environment. Selo from Cape Town, thanks for joining us on Sunrise this morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and you?
Okay. Basically, I just want to say we can support local brands, but the people who manufacture it need to create awareness in order for the people in South Africa to know what to buy and what not to buy. And the other thing, we as youth, we go for lavish stuff, whereby we tend to think that imported things from overseas are much superior than the South African brands, because we are regarded as the people who cannot quantify their product. You understand? We always look towards Europe as fashion designers, so that we can implement on the. Basically, I'm just saying we are like copycats. If we start from doing things on our own and start creating awareness among the communities, especially those who are earning low incomes, to show them they can still afford our brands. Basically, they just need to be alert on what's happening with our industries.
Selo, thanks so much for your call. Wandi, I mean, in response to Selo there, what are local brand manufacturers doing, as he asked, to make the public aware of local brands and where they can find them and what they cost?
Well, firstly, if you don't mind, I'm going to answer the question that you asked earlier. And
yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to ask Selo as well. We touched on the fact that we need to catch up with the international market. The one thing that has always made us thrive is criticism. And that criticism is not there to actually destroy these brands, but it's actually there to actually uplift them. So, it's a dual process. If we are not doing well, you actually have to speak up. You actually have to complain, because at the end of the day, you're spending your hard-earned money. And also in terms of what we're trying to do, I mean, to be arrogant, we're the only ones in terms of being a local brand who are this big. And, it's lonely here at the top. So what we try to do is to actually not only create an industry, not only to create a brand, but to also create an industry. When we started selling clothing, we were actually not even selling T-shirts. We were selling the concept of selling clothing, or rather locally made products. So, going forward, what we've done is we've partnered up with super brands that don't exist necessarily in clothing. So, for example, we partnered up with artists like Pro, where we've created a sub-brand called Dankisan. We've got a shoe with JR. We've got a range with Pumeza called P. We've got a swimmer range made by Lerato. But it's literally to be able to use personalities and individuals that can enforce literally our ethos, and more importantly, where we're taking the brand.
Wandi, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for joining us on Sunrise. We wish you and your company all the best.
Only a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Herbert, just before we close, how much do local brands contribute towards gross domestic product?
Huge. I can't quantify it right now.
But it's significant.
But it's significant. It's absolutely significant. It's an area where we are saying, as proudly South African, it's not good enough for us to simply stand up and shout that we are proudly South African. We know that the majority of South Africans are proudly South African. What we want to do now is to take that pride a step further and say, demonstrate by simply buying goods and services that are made in this country. Literally put your money where your mouth is. Literally put your money where your mouth is.
Herbert, thank you so much for your time this morning, and all the best with your Proudly South Africa campaign.
Thanks.
We've been speaking to the Chief Executive Officer of Proudly South Africa, Herbert Mhkize, and on the line we were joined by the founder of Local Brand Lotion Culture, Wandi Nzimande, regarding local brands. Do stay with us as we catch the latest news headlines with Mark Chase at the E! News desk just after this.